we'll move to the species diversity. So as you know, the species can define, I think in your A levels you already defined the species. That is the group of organisms. They are interbreeding with natural population, and then they are reproductively successful. That means they can produce fertile offspring. So that is the definition. Okay. So sometimes organisms are interbreeding, but they cannot produce fertile offspring. So that is therefore at that time we are not considering them as the species. Okay. So they are almost all the time interbreeding natural population. They are reproductively isolated from other such groups. So and also they are fertile offspring. I think this one is you are familiar because you have already went through the animal diversity course. So at that time you learn about the taxonomy. The first we have the big kingdom, and inside the kingdom you have the phylum. Under the phylum you have the class, order, family, genus and the species. Now this is the least inclusive category. When you come to the kingdom, this is the most inclusive category. So species is very easy to describe rather than describing their phylum or a kingdom. Okay, so this method actually introduced by the Linnaeus. I think you knew about that. So based on that, we have the binomial nomenclature. So for an example, your pussycat, that is house cat, its name is, the field is domesticus. So at the end of the name, we put L. So that means this first name representing genus, second name species, and the last letter is the author. So when you look at this cat family, here you can see the different types of cat. So all these cats include in we are considering as a separate species. Now in our country we have the cat family. There are 4 members, right? Who are the 4 members? Who are the 4 members?
Leopard.
Yeah, leopard. In addition, how many? Leopard is the big cat. So then there are small cats as well. Who are the small cats?
Fishing cat.
Yeah.
Rusty spotted cat.
Yeah.
Jungle cat.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Asha. Now, all the except the leopard, other 3 pussy cats, actually the cats, small cats, you can see in our lab, right? The rusty is the smallest one. It's very, very small. And the other 2 is bigger than the rusty. The fishing cat is the, usually its size is maybe around like a dog. You can find in the nature, actually in the near the wetlands, near the shrub, like small forest area, forest patches, you can find it. So jungle cat, it's very difficult to see the rusty and the jungle. It's sometimes you are misleading with when you see the rusty and the jungle, you will think that's the domestic. So like very similar to the domestic one, right? So when you look at the wildcats, you can see the beauty of the wildcats. They are in the region to region, they are separate. Okay, so this is the species diversity. We call this is they are separately interbreeding and they are separately producing their offspring. Okay, so when you come to this definition, it is consist of 2 components. These are familiar with you all because you have done in ecology. So species richness and species abundance. Richness is variety of species of the or the number of different species. Okay. Abundance means relative abundance of that species. For an example, take now you are counting monkeys, right? So then you have the grey langurs, macacas, and then the purple face. So that is the species richness. Okay. But when you come to the macaca 10, grey langurs 10, then purple face 3, that is the abundance. Okay. So when you count the number of individual in a particular species, that is we call the species abundance. You are familiar with all these things, right? Recall your memory. And when you come to the species richness, actually that is the numerical species. And then we can find the species density, that is the number of species per unit area. And especially simple and easy to calculate, and we can show these numbers. Okay. So when you count the species richness, it's not reflect the relative abundance, right? So this species richness is important almost all the time for us, because when you look at the species richness list, that means species list, so we have an idea, okay, more species, so that means it can be more diverse, right? But we cannot say it's diverse directly without calculating, because I think you can remember in your ecology field classes, you count these numbers and then you mark the abundance, right? So then based on that, you calculate the diversity. Okay. So then when you come to the abundance or a evenness, this is also important. Abundance means if you have the total number of individual, if you knew the particular species, so then the particular species individual number can divide by the total. So that is abundant. If you want to get the relative, you can multiply by 100. So that is the relative abundance. So when you come to the measurements of biodiversity, there are several index. We have the indices. So I think you calculate these two indices, Simpson index and the Shannon index. In addition to that, we have the Berger-Parker index. So that is also simplest and most easily understood diversity. It is also calculate the proportion of the commonest species in a sample, right? I am not going to do more details because you are already familiar with these things. And then when you come to the Simpson index, we call it is the dominance index, right?
If one species is dominant in the population, that can be highlighted by the Simpson diversity index.
So therefore, most of the time the dominant species can find based on this particular one. And another one we have the Brillouin index. That is the randomness of the sampling is not guaranteed. This is the equation we will be able to use for that. And then another one we have the Macintosh index diversity. That's also tell us the diversity of the population. Okay. So here all these indices is available in Maguran. Maguran's species diversity book. Okay. I will scan that chapter and will upload you all to go check, right? It is available in our library. I will ask librarian to scan it and upload to the LMS. Then you will be able to go through these indices and then you will be able to check the differences between each other, okay, indices. And when you come to the species diversity and the richness, we will be able to identify in different scales. Here you can see the species richness. We have the point, alpha, beta, gamma. Okay. When you come to the species diversity, we have the alpha, beta, gamma. Okay. So when you look at these alpha, beta, gamma, what do you think about? So then when you come to these diversity and species. Point mean here one place. Now, if you consider this tree, if you count the number of species here, that is, it is restricted to only this point. Okay, that is the point. So then alpha mean, so you can see here you can consider an area, right? So this is alpha. Beta mean it's a larger scale. Like for an example, take this is your campus, your faculty premises. This is your fig tree near the maybe near the HPT building. Okay, so that is the point. So then you are counting the faculty premises area. So that is alpha. Then you are considering whole university. So that is beta. Okay. Then we are considering North Central province. This is gamma. Okay. So this is the way we will be able to get the idea about the diversity, also the richness. So they in a different scales, right? So then actually, especially this is alpha, we are considering a selected habitat, as I mentioned, that is the quantified by indices and by rank abundance models. Beta, we can consider as the new habitats, okay, like a big scale, than the alpha. Finally, we have the gamma, that is the full biodiversity. It's a landscape or gradients, right? So beta 1, we can then get the spatial gradients, right? So that is the way we can explain these alpha, beta and gamma. So when you can see here more, okay, we can elaborate it more. This is a forest in a area. So then we can select small area and then we can consider whole forest and then we can consider the full country, right? That's a landscape. So therefore, we are considering as this is alpha, this is beta. When you consider the whole South Asia, we can consider the alpha. Like for an example, you know, we are considering as the Western Ghats of India and Sri Lanka. Okay, so then Western Ghats of India and Sri Lanka can be gamma. So only Sri Lanka we can consider the beta, and then that particular ecosystem we can consider as the alpha, right? So when we move to the species richness, in the world species richness, you can see the pie charts. So then in this is 1992, this is 2011, this is the present study, right? Present study can recently 2017, 2016, like that year. So when you look at this one, you can see here there are more animals and then very few bacteria in 1990. So when you consider the 2011, so this is actually identified one. So then you can see here most of the animals already identified. So plants, you know, actually with the deforestation, plants are disappearing. But you can see here the richness is somewhat very low, but it is not almost all deforestation. This is the identify one, right? Species richness identify recent. And today what happened, with the new knowledge, we are identify more bacteria. Okay, so we describe more bacteria and also because now almost covered the animals, so therefore very few animals, and also we have more fungus already we recorded, and in addition that we have some protist. Plants very small. Why? Because plants are not moving. It is easy to identify. That's why in very earlier stages identify more plants, right? So animals also we identify compared to the plants less, but considerably high, right? But these particular one like fungus, protist, bacteria, now we are focusing more on that. So therefore, we are still identify these new species. Okay, and then when you come to the diversity of the earth, you can see when you consider the animals, you can see the most of the species belongs to the insects, right? So that means insects, we still we have a chance to identify new species, right? So total estimated to exist 4 to 112 million, right? But look at the actual identified numbers, right? That means still we have chance to identify some new species, especially when you look at the insects, because we are giving very, very low priority for the insects. Okay, and then we will be able to identify these species in a spatial way, small areas and the large areas, species distribution. So when you consider the spatial distribution, we have two type of species, endemic and the native, right? So endemic are the only one area you can find anywhere else. Native can be in a region, right? Now, please give me some examples for the endemics and the natives. What are the endemic species? Examples.
Sri Lankan jagalflower,
Okay, good. And plants?
Atamba, Mangifera selenica,
Yeah, Mangifera selenica. Yes, good.
Ceylon birdie, Macaca sinica, turkey monkey,
Talk monkey
Turkey
and
macaca.
yeah, purple face also, right? Kohomba neem is one of the native. Why? Because when you look at the our country, it is most dominant plant in the north central and the north province. And also you can find in India as well, right? So therefore that is native. That particular region you can find that particular species, okay?